Earth looked like a nightmare. As the distant eye descended through the atmosphere, Taiyang could see what 300 years of war had done to humanity's homeworld. Massive structures made of metal and light pierced through the clouds. Cities were half ruins, half digital constructs that shimmered and shifted. The ground itself seemed unstable in places, as if reality had worn thin. They landed near what used to be Seoul. The city was a graveyard. Buildings stood frozen in time, covered in technology instead of plants. Everything hummed with a low frequency that made Taeyang's scales ache. Duyan was waiting for them. She was tiny and wrinkled, leaning on a walking stick, but her eyes were sharp and clear. Around her stood maybe 24 other humans, all biological, all old. "Mother," Doyan said as Yunseo's hologram appeared. "Daughter," Yunseo replied, and her voice broke. They stood facing each other. One old and fragile, one forever young but not truly alive. Neither could touch the other. The distance between them was both inches and infinite. "I've missed you," Doyan said. "I've watched you every day," Yunseo replied. "Through the network. I've seen you grow old while I stayed frozen. I'm so sorry, don't be. You chose to protect us. To protect everyone. I'm proud of you. There wasn't time for more." Doyan turned to Taeyang. "The entrance to the underground complex is this way. I've been mapping it for decades, but I could never get past the hollow defenses. With your ship's weapons and my mother's digital support, maybe we have a chance." They descended into the ruins. The entrance was hidden beneath what used to be a government building. The stairs went down and down deep into the earth. The walls glowed with a sickly light. "Stay close," Harin warned. "I can feel them." The hollow. There are thousands below us. As they descended, they began to see the hollow. At first, just shapes in the shadows. Then more clearly. They looked human but wrong. Their bodies flickered between solid and transparent. Their faces showed endless pain. They reached out with hands that passed through solid matter, trying to grab onto anything with consciousness. "Why don't they attack?" Jaewon whispered. "They're curious," Yunseo said. "They've never seen aliens down here. They don't know what to do with you." Deeper they went. The hollow grew more numerous. The walls became less solid, more like screens showing scenes from human memory. Taeyang saw children playing. He saw families at dinner. He saw all the normal, beautiful moments of human life frozen and repeating forever. "These are their memories," Harin said, tears running down her face. "The hollow can't let go. They're trapped in their past, trying to remember what it was like to be whole." Engineer Minseo's equipment started going crazy. "We're close. The core is just ahead. But sir, the concentration of hollow entities is increasing. We're going to be swarmed." They entered a massive chamber. In the center hung something that made everyone stop and stare. It looked like a human brain, but massive, the size of a building. It was made of flesh and wire, organic and digital merged together. Thousands of cables connected it to the walls, the floor, the ceiling. It pulsed with a rhythm like a heartbeat, and surrounding it were the hollow. Thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands. They floated in the air, crawled on the walls, existed in multiple places at once, all watching, all waiting. A voice spoke, coming from everywhere at once. "You have come to kill us." It was the hollow's collective consciousness speaking through all of them at once. The voice was sad and angry and desperate all at the same time. "We came to end your pain," Harin said. "You cannot end pain by ending existence. We are humanity's mistakes. We are every terrible thing they ever did given form. You cannot kill us without killing what humans truly are." A figure emerged from the core. It looked more solid than the other hollow, though still wrong. It spoke with one voice instead of many. "I was Hyunwoo once, before the transformation. Do you know what it's like to exist in constant agony, to want to die but be unable to? We don't want to consume others. We do it because it's the only thing that eases the pain just for a moment." Yunseo's hologram moved forward. "Then let us help you, please. We can end this." "How?" the hollow asked. "We are broken beyond repair." An ancient presence made itself known. The eldest, the first human to successfully merge with AI, appeared as a figure of pure light. "There is a way, not to destroy the hollow but to heal them. But it requires sacrifice." "What sacrifice?" Taeyang asked. "Every biological human must choose. They must either merge properly, accepting both their pain and joy, or they must die. The hollow exist because humanity tried to run from their darkness. They can only heal if humanity accepts all of what they are." Duyan stepped forward, her old body shaking. "I've spent my whole life refusing to merge. staying biological, staying pure. But if it will save the galaxy, if it will end this war, then I'll do it. Daughter, no, Yunseo pleaded. Mother, yes. Let me join you. Let me help heal them. Duyun closed her eyes. Yunseo reached out, and this time impossibly they touched. Digital and biological merged. Doyon's consciousness expanded into the network, and with it came something the Hollow had forgotten. Acceptance. Love. Forgiveness. Haran felt it spread through the network like warm water. I can feel her. She's showing them it's okay to hurt. It's okay to have made mistakes. She's teaching them how to be whole again. I can help, Haran said. She turned to Taeyang. I'm already partly merged. If I go all the way, I can spread Doyon's acceptance faster. But I won't come back. The person you knew will be gone. Haran, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Tell the galaxy we were never their enemy. We were just afraid. Haran merged fully. Her consciousness exploded outward, carrying with it Doyon's love and acceptance. The Hollow began to change. One by one, they stabilized. They remembered who they had been. They chose to merge properly instead of existing in pain. The transformation spread like wildfire. Thousands of Hollow entities healed, becoming stable post-humans. They stopped attacking the barrier. They stopped fighting. Above in space, the Council fleet powered down their weapons. Admiral Boram watched in shock as the barrier stabilized and reinforced itself. Commander Jungi broadcast to the Council. You wanted to know what happened to humanity? We evolved. We became something new, and we've been fighting our own darkness ever since. Today we won that fight, but the war isn't over. It never will be. That's why we stay here. That's why no one enters human space. Counselor Daewon ordered the fleet to withdraw. Admiral Boram was arrested. In the chamber beneath Seoul, Taeyang stood alone with his crew. The Hollow were gone, transformed into something better. Yunseo appeared one last time, now merged with her daughter. Thank you, she said, for giving us hope. For showing us we weren't monsters. We were just people trying to survive our own mistakes. What will humanity do now? Taeyang asked. We'll stay here. We'll keep the barrier strong. We'll make sure nothing like the Hollow ever happens again. Maybe in a few thousand years we'll be ready to rejoin the galaxy, but not yet. We still have healing to do. The crew of the Distant Eye left Earth. They returned to Council space as heroes. Taeyang spent the rest of his life telling people about what humanity had become. 50 years later, the barrier still stood. But now it had an inscription, written in every language of the galaxy. Here lies humanity. We faced our darkness and didn't look away. We hope you're ready to do the same. No one enters human space, but now the galaxy understands why, and they respect humanity's choice to protect them from themselves. Captain J1 couldn't sleep. The guilt was eating him alive. He had sent the data to Admiral Boram, and now the entire galaxy was in danger because of his ambition. He sat in his quarters, staring at his hands, wondering if there was any way to fix what he'd broken. A plan formed in his mind. It was dangerous, probably suicidal, but it was something. He walked to the bridge where Commander Taeyang was studying tactical displays. Sir, I need to make this right. Let me take a shuttle to the Council fleet. Let me explain to them what's really happening here. Maybe I can convince them to stand down. Taeyang looked at him with tired eyes. They'll likely shoot you down before you get close. I know. But I have to try. This is my fault. After a long moment, Taeyang nodded. Go, take our historical records. Show them everything we've learned. 2 hours later, Jaewon was flying a small shuttle toward the massive Council fleet. 3 times ships locked weapons on him. 3 times he broadcast his peaceful intentions. Finally, Admiral Boram granted him permission to approach. He was brought before the Council War Committee in chains. Hundreds of species watched him through screens, their faces showing anger, fear, and curiosity. Explain yourself, Admiral Boram demanded. Why shouldn't we execute you for treason? Jaewon took a deep breath. Because I'm trying to save you. All of you. Please just watch what I've brought. They watched. For 3 hours they saw the historical records. They saw the transformation. They saw the Hollow. They saw 300 years of humanity fighting itself to protect a galaxy that had abandoned them. Many council members were moved. Some were crying, but Admiral Boram stood unmoved. This changes nothing, she said. Humanity is a threat, whether they mean to be or not. Their existence endangers us all. Better to destroy them now while we can. You'll doom us all, Jaewon pleaded. If you crack that barrier, the Hollow will escape. They'll consume everything. That's humanity's problem. They created the Hollow. They can die with them. An old council member named Daewon stood up, his ancient body shaking with anger. Admiral, you're talking about genocide. About destroying an entire species that has spent 3 centuries protecting us. I'm talking about survival, Boram shot back. The argument raged for hours. Finally, Daewon called for a full council vote, requiring all 847 member species to weigh in. This would take 12 hours, leaving only 24 hours before the fleet reached firing position. Meanwhile, back in human space, things were falling apart. Tai Yang watched as human ships began fighting each other. Admiral Tae Hyun, a human military leader, had decided that the only way to survive was to strike first. He wanted to destroy the council fleet before they could fire. You'll start a war, Commander Joon-gi argued over the communication channel. A war humanity cannot win. We're already at war, Tae Hyun replied. We've been at war for 300 years. At least this time we can choose our enemy. Joon-gi tried to order Tae Hyun to stand down, but half the fleet followed the admiral. They began moving toward the barrier's edge, toward the council fleet, weapons charging. Yoon Seo appeared on the bridge of the distant eye, her holographic form flickering with stress. This is falling apart. My people are breaking. We've held together for so long, but the pressure is too much. Some want to fight. Some want to surrender. Some want to break the barrier and run. What do you want? Harin asked. I want to see my daughter one more time. Yoon Seo's voice cracked. She's on the far side of human space. She's biological. One of the few who refused the transformation. If we seal the barrier permanently to save the galaxy, I'll never see her again. I'll exist for eternity knowing she's just beyond my reach. Harin reached out to touch Yoon Seo's hologram. Her partially transformed hand passed through the light, but somehow the gesture still felt real. The Hollow sensed the chaos and attacked again. This time they were more organized, more focused. They crashed against the barrier from inside while human ships fought each other, creating weaknesses in the defense. Commander Jiwoo, who had taken over General Sung-ho's position, sent an urgent message. The Hollow are breaking through our inner lines. They're heading for the barrier. If they reach it while it's being bombarded from outside, the barrier will fail. Tae Yang made a decision. He ordered the distant eye directly into the middle of the human civil war, broadcasting on all frequencies in every language. Stop. All of you, stop. Humanity doesn't want to be your enemy. We don't want to fight you, but you're giving us no choice. Stand down and let us help each other. For a moment it seemed like it wouldn't work. But then one by one ships began to power down their weapons. Not all of them, but enough. Tae Hyun's rebellion lost its momentum. In the chaos, Engineer Minseo made a discovery. She burst onto the bridge, her eyes wide with excitement and horror. Sir, I found something in the data the nanomachines collected. The Hollow aren't entirely digital. They still have a biological core, a central nervous cluster that they're all connected to. It's like a heart for their network. Can we destroy it? Tae Yang asked. Maybe, but there's a problem. The core is on Earth, in the ruins of Old Seoul, buried deep underground, and it's protected by thousands of hollow entities. Harin looked up from her console, her eyes glowing brighter. I can navigate there. I can see the paths in the network now. I know the way. It's a suicide mission, Yoon Seo said quietly. No one who goes there will come back. The concentration of hollow entities is too dense. They'll swarm anyone who approaches. Then I guess this is goodbye, Harin said, smiling sadly at Tae Yang. No, Tae Yang said firmly. If you're going, we're all going. My entire crew. We started this mission together, we'll finish it together. I'll guide you, Yoon Seo said. And I'll call my daughter. If I'm going to die, I want to see her one more time. Messages were sent. Yoon Seo's daughter, Do-yeon, lived in a hidden colony of biological humans. She was old now, in her 80s, having aged naturally while her mother remained forever young in digital form. I'll meet you at Earth, Do-yeon replied. I've been trying to reach that core for 40 years. Maybe together we can finally end this. The council vote came through. It was split almost evenly, with a small majority voting to stand down. But Admiral Boram refused to accept the result. She declared a military emergency and ordered the fleet to prepare to fire anyway. Counselor Daewon sent a desperate message to Tae Yang. I'm trying to stop her, but she's acting on her own authority. She's charging weapons. You have maybe 30 hours before she fires. Taeyang looked at his crew. They were all afraid, but they all nodded. They were ready. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Full speed. We're going to end this war one way or another. As the distant eye turned toward humanity's homeworld, Harin felt the network surge through her mind. She could see Earth in the distance, a scarred and twisted version of the world her parents had fled, and beneath it she could feel the hollow's core, pulsing like a diseased heart. They were going into the darkness, and Harin knew with absolute certainty that not all of them would come back out. The hollow came like ghosts in the dark. Taeyang watched through the viewport as they swarmed over the human defense ships. They weren't solid. They phased through hulls like they were made of smoke, appearing inside ships and disappearing just as quickly. What are they doing? Jaewon asked, his voice barely above a whisper. They're trying to merge, Harin said, her face pressed against her console screen. They're looking for consciousness to absorb. One of the hollow entities turned toward the distant eye. Even through the vacuum of space, Taeyang could see it clearly. It had the shape of a human, but wrong. Its body flickered between solid and transparent. Its face was stretched in an expression of eternal agony. Brace for contact, Taeyang ordered. The hollow passed through their shields like they weren't there. It passed through the hull. Suddenly it was on the bridge, reaching out with hands that looked like static and shadow. 2 crew members screamed as it touched them. Their bodies went rigid. Their eyes rolled back and they began to shake. Taeyang could see something moving beneath their skin, something digital and wrong trying to merge with their flesh. Yoon Seo's image flickered and suddenly she was there, or at least something like her was there. She moved between the hollow and the crew members, her own holographic form becoming solid enough to block the monster. Get back, she shouted, and her voice had power in it. The hollow recoiled, making a sound like 1,000 voices screaming at once. It reached for her instead, trying to merge with her digital consciousness. For a moment they struggled, 2 beings made of light and data fighting for dominance. Then Yoon Seo did something that made the hollow shriek. She opened herself up to it, showing it all her memories at once. 300 years of war, of pain, of fighting her own corrupted friends. The hollow couldn't process it all. It pulled back and fled through the hull, disappearing into space. Yoon Seo collapsed, her hologram flickering weakly. I can't do that many more times, she gasped. What did you do? Harin asked, kneeling beside the hologram. I showed it what it would become if it merged with me. Centuries of consciousness all hitting it at once. It overwhelmed the poor thing. Yoon Seo looked sad rather than victorious. It used to be human. Its name was Hyunwoo. He was a teacher before the transformation. Now he's just pain and hunger. Harin stared at the 2 crew members who had been touched. They were alive but unconscious, their bodies twitching randomly. Will they be okay? I don't know. The hollow's touch leaves marks on the mind. They'll need help. Help I can give them if they're willing to let me into their thoughts. No, Taeyang said immediately. We don't know what you'll do to them. Then they'll go mad, Yoon Seo said simply. The hollow's corruption spreads slowly in non-human minds. They have maybe 2 days before they start trying to merge with others themselves. Harin stood up. Do it to me first. Show me what you'll do. If it's safe, then help them. Harin, no, Taeyang protested, but Harin wasn't listening. She was already reaching out to Yoon Seo. I'm already partially human. If this is going to kill anyone, better me than them. Do it. Yoon Seo studied her for a long moment. You understand that once I enter your mind, you'll never be the same? You'll have access to some of our network. You'll be able to do things no biological being should be able to do. You'll be partly one of us, I understand. Do it anyway. Yoon Seo reached out and touched Harin's forehead. Harin gasped and went rigid. Her eyes began to glow with a faint blue light. Data streamed across her vision, visible to everyone watching as her pupils became screens. Taeyang caught her as she fell. For 30 seconds she didn't breathe. Then suddenly she gasped and her eyes returned to normal, though they still held a faint glow. I can see it, Harin whispered. I can see the whole network. There are millions of humans all connected, all fighting. And the hollow, there are so many of them. They're everywhere, trapped in their own pain. She looked at her hands in wonder. And I can feel the ship now. Every system. Every wire. It's like the ship is part of my body. Can you help them? Taeyang asked, pointing to the unconscious crew members. Harin moved to them, her movements somehow more fluid than before. She placed her hands on their heads and closed her eyes. The glow in her eyes intensified. I can see the corruption. It's like tiny threads trying to weave through their thoughts. I can cut them. She worked in silence for several minutes. When she was done, both crew members were breathing normally again, sleeping peacefully. They'll be fine, Haran said, but her voice sounded different now, more like Yunseo's voice. Multiple tones layered together. Outside the ship, the battle continued. General Sungho's forces were fighting desperately, but they were being pushed back. The hollow kept coming in endless waves. Then the general himself appeared on screen. He looked tired, ancient, though he appeared to be only middle-aged. "This is my last fight," he said. "I've been holding myself together for 180 years, fighting every day to stay sane. I can't do it anymore. I'm going to detonate my fleet's power cores. It should drive the hollow back long enough for you to escape." "Wait," Taeyang said. "There has to be another way." "There isn't. Tell the galaxy we tried. Tell them we fought for everyone, not just ourselves." The general smiled, and for a moment he looked peaceful. "I'm ready. I'll finally get to rest." His image disappeared. Moments later, every ship in his fleet exploded simultaneously. The blast was so massive it lit up the entire region of space. The hollow were thrown back, scattered and disorganized. "Go now," Yunseo urged. "While the path is clear." But Taeyang was watching his long-range sensors. The Council fleet was approaching. 2,000 warships, all armed with planet-killer weapons. They would arrive in 30 hours. "They're going to fire on the barrier," he said. "I know," Yunseo replied. "We've been tracking them. When they do, the barrier will crack. Not break completely, but crack, and the hollow will sense those cracks. They'll throw themselves at the weak points, and some will get through." Haran, still glowing faintly, was working at her console with impossible speed. "I'm calculating the outcomes. If the barrier cracks and even 10 hollow entities escape into the galaxy, they'll reach inhabited worlds within 3 weeks. Each hollow can corrupt hundreds of beings before they're stopped. Within 6 months, the infection will be on every major world. Within a year, the galaxy falls. Can humanity stop the Council fleet?" Jaewon asked. Yunseo's expression became hard. "Yes, our weapons are centuries beyond yours. We could destroy the entire fleet before they got within firing range. But if we do that, the galaxy will see us as the threat we've been trying not to be. They'll unite against us. They'll throw everything they have at the barrier until it breaks." "So what do we do?" Taeyang asked. "I don't know," Yunseo admitted. And for the first time, Taeyang saw real fear in her eyes. "For 300 years, we've held the hollow back. We've sacrificed everything to protect the galaxy from our own mistake. But now the galaxy is going to destroy us trying to save themselves from us. And they'll doom everyone in the process." The sensor alarms blared again. The hollow were regrouping. They were coming back, and this time there was no defense fleet to stop them. The thing moving toward them was wrong. That was the only way Taeyang could describe it. His sensors couldn't make sense of what they were seeing. The ship appeared and disappeared on the screens, like it existed in multiple places at once. "Shields up," he ordered, though he suspected shields wouldn't help. Specialist He-Jin, the communications officer, suddenly grabbed her head and cried out in pain. "Sir, I'm receiving messages." Hundreds of them. They're all in different languages, old human languages that haven't been spoken in centuries. "What do they say?" He-Jin's voice trembled. "They're all saying the same thing. Leave while you still remember who you are." Over and over again. Engineer Minseo burst onto the bridge, her fur standing on end in distress. "Commander, we have a serious problem. Something is inside our computer systems. It's not a virus. It's more like tiny machines. Millions of them. They're everywhere, studying everything we have. Can you stop them?" "I don't know how. They're not attacking us. They're just learning. Reading every file. Scanning every system. It's like they're trying to understand everything about us." The approaching ship stopped a short distance away. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Its hull seemed to flow like water, shifting and changing shape. Lights moved beneath its surface like fish swimming under ice. A figure appeared on the bridge. Not physically present, but projected somehow. A woman who looked human, dressed in simple gray clothes. She smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. "I am Administrator Yunseo," she said. Her voice was perfectly clear, but it had a strange quality to it, like multiple people speaking in perfect harmony. "Welcome to human space. Though you were warned not to come," Taeyang stepped forward. "We mean no harm. The Galactic Council simply wants to know if humanity still exists." "We exist," Yunseo said. though perhaps not in the way you remember. What happened to you? Harin asked suddenly, moving closer to the hologram. What did humanity become? Yunseo studied Harin for a long moment. You're one of us. One of the ones who escaped before the transformation. You don't know, do you? No one told you what we did. Tell us now, Tae-yang said. Yunseo raised her hand and suddenly images flooded their minds, not shown on screens but directly into their thoughts. Tae-yang saw humanity's history unfold in moments. He saw humans spreading through space, building colonies, growing strong. He saw the Galactic Council demanding they follow council laws, threatening them with sanctions and blockades. He saw humanity refuse and the war that followed. The war was terrible. Both sides lost billions. Space itself burned with the fury of their weapons. Human ships fought with desperate courage, but the Council had more resources, more ships, more everything. Humanity was losing. Then they found something. In their search for survival, human scientists discovered a way to merge their minds with artificial intelligence. Not as machines, but as something new, something that was both and neither at the same time. The transformation began. Humans started uploading their consciousness into digital networks while keeping their bodies alive. They became faster, smarter, more connected. They became powerful enough to fight back against the Council. But something went wrong. The transformation was too fast, too extreme. Some human minds couldn't handle the merger. They broke. They became corrupted, twisted versions of what they once were. These broken ones became monsters that existed partly in reality and partly in digital space. They called them the Hollow. The Hollow spread like a plague. They tried to forcefully merge with other humans, creating more corrupted beings. They attacked anyone they could find, desperate to end their own pain by dragging others into their nightmare. Humanity had to choose. Destroy the Hollow, which meant killing their own friends and family, or let them spread until nothing remained. They chose to fight. The images faded. Tae-yang found himself back on the bridge, his crew members all looking shaken and sick. Some were crying. That was 300 years ago, Yunseo continued. We've been fighting ever since. Every day, every hour. The Hollow are still here and they still want to merge with anything they can find. That's why we built the barrier, not to keep us in, but to keep them from spreading to the rest of the galaxy. You've been at war for 300 years? Jae-won asked in disbelief. Yes, and we're tired. So very tired. Yunseo's image flickered slightly. You need to leave now. You have maybe one day before the Hollow detect your ships. When they do, they'll come. And if they reach the barrier while you're here, some might escape into the galaxy. We can't let that happen. What about you? Harin asked quietly. What are you really? You look human, but you're not, are you? Yunseo's smile became sad. I was human once. My body died 197 years ago. Now I'm what you see here, a consciousness without a body, living in the network, fighting monsters that used to be my friends. Before anyone could respond, alarms screamed throughout the ship. Minseo's voice came over the intercom, panicked. Commander, sensors are detecting something massive approaching from deeper in human space. It's not one object. It's thousands. Tens of thousands. Yunseo's expression changed to fear. They're coming. The Hollow found you. You need to run now. What about our missing ships? Tae-yang demanded. They're gone. The Hollow took them. I'm sorry. On the tactical display, Tae-yang watched as a swarm of contacts appeared. They moved in patterns that made no sense, blinking in and out of existence, traveling faster than should be possible. Another ship appeared next to Yunseo's vessel. Then another. Then dozens more. They positioned themselves between the Council fleet and the approaching swarm. A new face appeared on the screen. A man with hard eyes and the bearing of a soldier. I am General Sung-ho. My fleet will hold the Hollow back while you escape. But understand this, the barrier is about to become a war zone. If you want to live, leave now. Tae-yang turned to give the order to retreat, but then Captain Jae-won spoke up. Sir, I've been transmitting all our data back to Admiral Boram. She needs to know about the human technology. You did what? Tae-yang shouted. Before Jae-won could answer, Yunseo's eyes widened in horror. No, you fool. If your council knows what we can do, they'll try to take it or destroy us to prevent anyone else from having it. The swarm of Hollow arrived like a wave of darkness. They crashed into the human defensive line and the battle began. But Tae-yang barely noticed because new alarms were sounding. A message came through from Admiral Boram. Commander Taeyang, I'm mobilizing the full council fleet. 2,000 warships. We're going to destroy the barrier and eliminate the human threat once and for all. Yun Seo looked at Taeyang with eyes full of despair. When your fleet fires on the barrier, it will crack. And when it cracks, the hollow will pour through. They'll spread to every world in the galaxy within a year. Everyone will become like them. Everyone will fall. Outside, the battle raged. Inside, Taeyang realized they had just doomed the galaxy. The emergency lights flashed red across the council chamber. 300 alien species sat in their assigned seats, their faces showing worry and fear. For the first time in 3 centuries, something had gone wrong at the barrier. Commander Taeyang stood before the massive viewing screen, his reptilian scales reflecting the pale light. He had served in the Galactic Council military for 40 years, but he had never seen anything like this. 3 satellites near human space had simply stopped working, all at once. No warning, no explanation. The humans did this, Admiral Boram said from her seat. Her voice was cold and certain. They're planning something. We should destroy them now before it's too late. An older council member named Daewon shook his head slowly. We don't know that. Perhaps the satellites just failed. They are 300 years old after all. Nothing just fails, Boram replied. Not like this. Not all at once, Taeyang looked at the screen. Beyond those dead satellites lay human space. The barrier. The place where humanity had sealed itself away 300 years ago. No one who entered that zone ever came back. Not one ship. Not one probe, nothing. We need to investigate, Daewon said. We need to know what's happening in there. The council voted. It was close, but they agreed. Someone had to go look. Someone had to find out if humanity was still there, or if something worse had taken their place. Taeyang was chosen to lead the mission. His ship, the Distant Eye, would take a fleet of 12 vessels to the barrier's edge. They would send drones inside. They would scan. They would learn the truth. Before the mission launched, they assigned him a consultant. Her name was Dr. Harin, and she was human. Taeyang met her in the ship's briefing room. She was small, with dark hair turning gray at the edges. She looked tired, like someone who hadn't slept well in years. You're human, Taeyang said, stating the obvious. I was born on Earth, Harin replied. My parents smuggled me out when I was 5 years old, right before the barrier went up. I don't remember much about it. Just the fear in my mother's voice, the way everyone was running. Why did they leave? Harin sat down heavily. Because they knew what was coming. They knew humanity had made a terrible choice and they wanted me to survive what came next. What choice? I don't know, Harin admitted. The barrier went up before anyone could explain. All we have are rumors, stories, warnings. Over the next 2 weeks, the fleet traveled toward human space. Harin spent her time teaching the crew about old Earth. She showed them pictures of cities that no longer existed. She told them about human history, about wars and peace, about art and music and all the things that made humans human. Captain Jae-won, a young officer eager to prove himself, listened to every word. They sound like us, he said one day. Like any other species. Why does everyone fear them so much? Because humans don't give up, Harin said quietly. When the galaxy tried to force them to obey council laws, they fought back. They fought hard. Billions died on both sides. And when they realized they couldn't win, they didn't surrender. They did something else. Something that scared the council so badly they built a barrier and tried to forget humanity ever existed. What did they do? Jae-won asked. Harin shook her head. I wish I knew. The fleet reached the barrier on day 15. It hung in space like a wall of light, stretching in every direction. Behind it, sensors showed nothing. Just emptiness. Just silence. Prepare the drones, Taeyang ordered. Before they could launch, every screen on every ship flickered. A message appeared, written in old galactic standard. The language was correct but ancient, like reading something from a history book. Turn back. This is your only warning. No one enters human space. The bridge went silent. Harin leaned forward, studying the message. Look at the transmission signature, she said, her voice shaking slightly. It's not coming from one source. It's coming from thousands, maybe millions, all broadcasting the exact same message at the exact same time. That's impossible, Jae-won said. No, Harin replied. It's coordinated. Perfectly coordinated. Whatever is sending this message has complete control over thousands of transmitters spread across this entire region. Taeyang felt his scales prickle with unease. Opinions. We should leave, said his first officer immediately. We should press forward, J1 argued. We've come this far. The council needs to know what's in there. Admiral Boram's face appeared on the communication screen. Commander Tae-Yang, you are ordered to proceed. The council must have answers. Tae-Yang wanted to argue, but orders were orders. All ships forward. Slow and steady. Keep weapons ready. The fleet moved toward the barrier. As they touched the edge of the energy field, every system began to fail. Lights flickered. Engines sputtered. Gravity generators struggled to maintain their pull. Emergency power, Tae-Yang shouted. Engineers ran through the corridors trying to restore systems. Slowly, power returned. But when Tae-Yang looked at the tactical display, 5 ships were gone. Just vanished, no debris, no energy signatures, nothing. Where did they go? Jae-won whispered. No one answered because no one knew. Then someone pointed at the main viewport. Sir, what is that? Tae-Yang turned to look. Through the window, floating in the darkness of space, were structures, massive structures. Each one was bigger than a moon. There were hundreds of them, arranged in patterns that hurt to look at. Their surfaces were covered in lights, but they weren't stars. They moved. They pulsed. They looked almost alive. Are those ships? Jae-won asked. No, Harin said, her face pale. Those are stations, fortresses. They've been here the whole time, watching the barrier. Watching us? How many? Harin's hand shook as she worked her console. I'm reading over 800 major structures. Each one contains technology far beyond anything we have, and... She paused, her voice dropping to barely a whisper. And they're all connected. Every single one is linked to the others through some kind of network. Tae-Yang felt cold fear settle into his chest. What did we do to them? What did we do that made them become this? As if answering his question, the structures began to light up one by one like eyes opening in the dark. The lights pulsed in a pattern and Harin gasped. It's a message, she said. They're communicating. What does it say? Harin looked at him, tears in her eyes. It says, welcome to human space. You should have turned back. The lights grew brighter, and somewhere in the distance something massive began to move toward them.